Hi, and welcome to Allen High School's discussion of solutions and liquids at the pre-AP chemistry level. Now, we're talking about unsaturated, saturated, and supersaturated solutions. Now, let's say you're looking at a beaker, and that beaker contains water. We don't know if it's got water in it. We don't know if it's got solute in it. Remember, water is the solvent, and the sodium chloride in this case is going to be our solute. Now, the only way you know for sure that a solution is saturated is if you've got solid already just sitting there at the bottom. So if you have a beaker, there's a solution in it, there's solid at the bottom, you know for sure that it's a saturated solution. Well, what if we don't have any solid at the bottom, all right, and we just have a solution there, and we want to find out whether it is saturated, unsaturated, or supersaturated. So in this first situation, we add 30 grams of sodium chloride to the bottom, and it all dissolved. So what must the original solution have been? That's what we're asking ourselves. So we had an original solution, and we were able to take that original solution and add 30 grams. Notice all of it dissolved. So if more dissolved, we were able to get more dissolved, then that solution originally must have been unsaturated. Now, let's take a look at this next one. In this next one, we have a scenario where we have a solution, and we add to that solution, whoops, I don't know why I did that, we're adding the same 30 grams. Now, when we're done, not only did the 30 grams come out of solution, so in other words, those 30 grams would not dissolve, but more came out with it, an additional 15 grams. Now, that means this must have been supersaturated because more than what we added came out of solution. So we ended up down at this bottom with 45 grams of the solid. All right, and so that means it was supersaturated. It was holding too much, and that 15 gram excess, all you have to do is disturb a supersaturated solution, and that 15 gram excess will come out. So if you get out more than you put in, then it must have been supersaturated to begin with. Now let's go back and say we've got a third solution. We add 30 grams, and we end up with 30 grams of solid at the bottom. In other words, we can't get any more solid to dissolve. We're not getting extra solid out, but we can't get any of our original to dissolve. So if you're at a situation at a particular temperature where no more will dissolve, then that must have been a saturated solution. Okay. Now in this last one, we put in 30 grams, and some of it dissolved. So we were able to dissolve 20 grams. So if we were able to dissolve more in our original solution, then that original solution must have been unsaturated. Okay, so that's one of the ways that you can tell, is just by adding. If it's just a liquid sitting there, if you just add certain amounts of solute to it, then you can see what happens. If more dissolves, the solution must have been unsaturated. If no more dissolves, then it must have been saturated. If you end up with more solid than you added to begin with, it must have been supersaturated. So, we will see you in class to talk a little bit more about this. Until then, this is signing off.